Okay. High vibrations, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Bringing It Home with C. Smith. I'm your hostess, Christina Nicole Smith. And some of you may know me by my Aboriginal name, Adelohoski Akatanai. This show is all about things homeschool related, including news and information from the educational domain. If this is your first time watching the show, thank you for joining us today. I want to take a moment to thank every single person that supports the channel through Cash App. It allows me to continue to bring this important message of homeschooling future generations to the collective. It's truly a blessing, and I'm sending waves of prosperity back in your direction. Also, thank you for liking and sharing our videos. It means so very much to me. Today's guest is a fervent advocate for the youth in his community, tirelessly working to ensure the youth receive knowledge of self as it relates to their place in the cosmos, how their brains develop, and the notability of their genetics, even if he has to hand out flyers one by one outside of local schools, which he's been known to do. He's also known in his community as an unflinching truth teller. He is a son, brother, father, friend, and wonderful illustration of the divine masculine in physical form who lives his life on purpose. I present to you Kala Ma'at Amun Ra. Welcome to the show. It's so good to finally get a chance to meet you.
Thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate this. Thank you so much. Thank you for all those warm, kind words. Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, do you mind if I share one quick announcement before we get started?
Not a problem. Not at all.
Okay. Well, I have something very exciting I want to share with everyone. So I've decided to be the change I want to see in the world, and I'm opening my own online preschool. Now, yes, I'm a huge proponent of homeschooling, but I also know that some parents are still struggling with how to get started teaching their children. So I envision Sunschool as being the bridge that assists working parents with the education of their children while they build up their confidence to continue homeschooling after their child graduates from Sunschool. So my Aboriginal name is Adelohoski, which means conscious in Cherokee. Now, my name was given to me with intention. So I want to show you something, okay? Let me show you something really quick. I'm going to share my screen really quickly, everyone, okay? Let me show you something, and then you'll know exactly what I'm doing here, okay? All right, let me click. Uh-oh. I'm new to this, y'all. Here we go. Thank you for your patience. Now, can you see this, everyone? Can you see this?
Yes.
Can you see this? Okay. So I just want you to know that, like I said, my Aboriginal name is Adelohoski, which means conscious. And so if you look at my logo right here, my mantra of my school is to know thyself is to have great wealth. And so you can see right here what my intentions are and what is in my heart. So for as long as I can remember, I've always been told I have a gift for teaching children. I'm a wife, mother of two, award-winning author and educator. I've had the pleasure of homeschooling for 17 years and counting. And as a huge thank you for helping me start my preschool, I will be offering 7 founding families the opportunity to join Sunschool for just $47 a month per child for the school year for 1 2-day a week, 30 minutes each preschool class. And this will be a huge discount from when I open my doors at full price. And as a founding family, your children will benefit by creating friendships, building self-confidence, growing in appreciation for their own creative abilities and their imagination, learning knowledge of self, and developing their social, emotional, physical, and cognitive skills. After all, 90% of your child's brain will develop by age 5, and we want to assist you in setting up your child for success in their life. So our first day of preschool will be March 7th, 2023. So if you know any families with 3 to 5-year-olds that may want their child to attend Sunschool at a huge discount as one of our founding families, or if you're interested yourself, feel free to send me a direct message at on Instagram at Mama Bear Adelohoski, or on Facebook, my Facebook page at Bringing It Home with C.N. Smith. And one last thing. I've already had 3 families sign up, so I only have 4 slots left. So now let's get on to the topic, and then let me stop sharing my screen. But that was my announcement, so I'm really excited about that. Let me stop that. Okay, there we go. All right. So now on to today's topic. Has anyone ever heard of the maxim that is attributed to the Catholic Church, which is, give us a child until he's 7 and we'll have him for life? Well, the growth and development of a child's brain in the first 7 years of his or her life is astounding. And once you truly understand this, then this maxim will open your eyes to the great understanding of how much power the public educational system has had over your children once you put them in it. So why do you think they want to enroll your children at such a young age into some type of compulsory educational program? It's because whoever controls the education of our children controls the future. So, Brother Kala, can you please break down the growth and development of a child's brain the first 7 years of their life?
Whoa, yes. Let me share a screen real fast. Let me share.
All right. All right.
Let me see. It says share screen. Let me share this. And okay. I don't know. Can you see this right here?
Not yet.
All right. Let me know when you can see this.
Oh, okay.
You can see this?
Yeah, now I'm going to add it to the stream.
Okay. Oh, you have to. Okay. When I share a screen, you have to add it.
I have to add it. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now, this right here is just a layout in certain parts of the brain, which is the major parts of the brain. You have your frontal lobe here, you have your temporal lobe, you have your medulla oblongata, you have your cerebellum, you have this is the stem part of the brain, which is your spinal cord, you have your occipital lobe, your parietal lobe, your somatic sensory cortex, and your somatic cortex. Now, if you look at the top portion right here, where it says somatic cortex and somatic sensory cortex, these are where, when a baby is born, you see soft spots on the top of their head.
Right.
This is where the soft spots occurs at, right here. Now, the somatic sensory cortex pulls in information from around the environment of the child. Now, basically, you think your child can't hear you talking because it's an infant, but the child actually hears and absorbs everything, because during the first 7, maybe 9 years of a child's life, it is absorbing information. It is constantly learning, and the brain is learning even faster than what you would call an adult today brain. Children brain are much more advanced than adults today because of what we are eating and what we have polluted our bodies. However, these soft spots up here are taking in information. Now, the somatic sensory cortex, this one here is taking in information as far as sounds that is going on around you, the baby, what the baby sees with the eyes, as far as walking, talking, no matter what the case may be, music, whatever the case may be. Now, in this somatic cortex right here, the other soft spot of the brain is taking environmental, what I mean by environment, solar information, like which comes from the sun and nature. This is what this soft spot is doing. Now, what's happening is, I'm gonna take this off my screen. What's happening is with our children, as they are developing with the foods that we are eating, mainly the sugar. And sugar is one of the number 1 minerals that the brain uses the most. The brain uses around 95 to 99% glucose, which is sugar. And we have so much artificial sugar in everything, the Similac, the cereal, the milk, the bread, all of that stops this portion of your brain. Now, you're looking at this brain that I'm showing you. is showing you majority of what you would call the neocortex. When you look at the brain, you see the entire, but you mainly see the neocortex. And neo means new, cortex means husk, like a shell or something. Now, this portion of the brain, which is the neomammalian, the top part of the brain, this portion of the brain right here is underdeveloped due to the fact that what we are eating, the language that we are speaking, and the violence that we are doing with when it comes to one another. Far as we the number one sports, the two sports that they have is playing all the time is boxing and football. And if we're not doing that for sport, we're doing that for actually just for play. And there is no fun, there is no joy or there is nothing that you can gain by abusing or putting or hitting your head on anything, whether it's a hand or whether it's a helmet. You got a helmet on, it doesn't help your brain at all. And what happens is there is a constant shock that is happening to your brain. And because you're getting that constant shock, this is the lower portion of your brain. This is what you would call the mammalian part of the brain. And this right here is the stem. This is what you call the pond. And I want to share my screen one more time while I'm speaking about this, so that way you can be able to, people can follow what I'm saying here. Bear with me, okay. Now, if you look at the bottom portion of this right here, this is the stem connected to the spinal cord, and then you have your cerebellum. Now, your cerebellum doesn't, and your stem, this is what you would call the lower portion of your brain. So when people state that, you're thinking in your lower half and you're not really processing information, not making good decisions, this is because you are stuck in this portion of your brain right here. And this deals with flight, fight, or freeze. So one of the main reasons our children's brain, as well as are underdeveloped as well as adults, is because they have us constantly in a flight, freeze, or fight mode. And that flight, fight, or freeze releases a liquid called cortisol. And when you're releasing that liquid cortisol through your body, there's nothing wrong with that liquid being released sometime because it's necessary. But when that liquid is constantly being released and is being triggered by slavery movies, violent art games, by the interactions that you hear with your parents or other people having interaction, and this is connected, which we will call your limbic system. So let me get back off of here because I'm gonna have to go back and forth. I do apologize, my people. My the power was out over here, and my computer kind of like resetted itself. So there's a lot of things that I had to go back and forth here, but she's working with me. Now, what we're looking at when you take the brain down the middle, this is what you call a mid-sagittal. So we're looking at the brain cut in half. Now, right here at the top is what you will have your corsal callosum, and then you will have your pineal gland, and then underneath the pineal gland, you will have your thalamus, your epithalamus, your hypothalamus. Now, all of these here, those glands regulate. They process information as far as how you articulate yourself, how you deal with your emotions, how you solve problems when certain situations come your way. And what's happening is our children, and as well as adults, are being cut off. When I said the somatic sensory cortex, when that is pulling in information, it is constantly pulling in information to keep us in a flight, fight, or freeze, where we're not thinking, we're not using the top portion of our brain. And because we're not using the top portion of our brain, if we was to go on an MRI, they were to scan our brain, they would see parts of our brain literally looking black. There is no light there. And our children are being attacked at a young age because their brains are full of light. When we're born with over 100 billion neurons in our brain. We're born with over 100 billion neurons to make up our brain. And by the age of 30, 35 years old, those 100 billion neurons have shrunk down to maybe 35 million neurons because we're not using the top portion of our brain, which is just called the neo-mammalian part of our brain.
Oh my God. Okay. So that is powerful. So I've heard of that stress hormone before called cortisol.
Yes.
It's related to stress.
Yes.
And there's also something I've heard before too, like when people are stressed out or when they're frightened or they're like holding their breath, the blood can't travel to the brain. So it's like you're like stuck. You can't even make really good decisions too. It's like, isn't that all connected as well? It's like there's a bunch of different bodily systems that are being interrupted, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you touched on that because that was definitely what I wanted to speak about next. With the foods and stuff that we're eating. Now we have what you call all of these red lines here are inferior brain, or excuse me, inferior what you call veins. You have your regular veins that you can see, your thicker veins, but you also have inferior veins as well that are smaller, that sends oxygen-rich blood and minerals to vital parts of your brain. Now, this here is called the circle of Willis. This is very important because these are arteries. These arteries flow throughout your brain. Now, what's happening because of the foods that we eat, again, and the trauma that we are dealing with, it causes what you call ischemia, hardening of the arteries, and it cuts off the flow of oxygen and blood and minerals to certain portions of the brain because of the flight, fight, or freeze. Yes, that is absolutely 100%. You hit it right on the head. And this is another reason, one of the main reasons on why this portion of the brain is not as developed like it should be. So
It's because the ischemia, right? So that's
called ischemia, hardening of the arteries, which blocks up, which clogs up the vein with mucus, lactic acid, and what it does, it eventually is shut off. See, at a young age, we don't experience it as much as you feel it when you get older. For example, like if you have a car that only supposed to take premium gas, but you put regular gas in it today, and then you put regular gas in it the next time. So you might not based upon the car, you might not see the devastating effects that happens or occurs right away. So it takes over a portion of a time of damage to continue in order for you to start seeing the residual effects of it. So let me pull up another thing regarding when I was speaking about the brain and how give me 1 second here. All right. Let me see.
Wow, I can't spell today. Sorry, y'all, I can't even spell today. That's the incorrect spelling of arteries, by the way. I believe that, yeah. Arteries. It might be. I don't know. I haven't seen that word in a while, arteries, but I think I'm close. But ischemia.
Ischemia.
That's ischemia.
Yes, it's called ischemia. All right, let me share my screen one more again so I can, because I want to show people what I mean by the development of your brain and your prefrontal lobe and how important this is.
Please do. Okay.
Here we go.
All right.
Now, before I go any further, let me pull this up right here. Now, this is a neuroscientist. So anyone, you can't YouTube, you can't ban me. You know, this is directly from this scientist's mouth. Frank Amether is a professor of psychology at the University of Alabama at Birmingham, where he also holds secondary appointments in the UVA Medical School Department of Neurobiology, the School of Optometry, and the Department of Biomedical Engineering. His research is focused on retinal and central visual processing and neuroprothesis. So you can take it up with that individual, YouTube. So here we go right here. When I speak about the prefrontal lobe or the frontal lobe and how important that it is, if you have, hold on, let me zoom in on this a little bit here. Let me zoom. Here we go. If you have a large frontal lobe, your behavior tends to be dominated by your current needs and what is currently going on in the world around you. So now listen, if you don't have a large frontal lobe, meaning that you're not thinking, you're not able to use your entire brain, your behavior tends to be dominated by the current needs and what is currently going on in the world around you. So if you look around the world, children, if you look around, you see people are moving with the world. Oh, I got to pay this bill. I got to go to work. Or I got to do this. Or look at the crime that's on TV. Look at this. So they constantly, their world, their life is dominated by the world that's around them because the frontal lobe of their brain is underdeveloped. You should be thinking beyond what's in front of you. So if you are a lizard, you are either hungry, cold, or hot, or seeking a mate, or in danger of being caught by a predator. You have a number of behavioral repertoires. And if you look at us as children, if you look at the children, they keep you in the constantly same cycle of the same behavior. It's not when you look at one child being angry, you can look at another child being angry. You look at the child, they get happy and angry about the same similar thing. Happy about video games, happy about money. Mad when they lose their cell phone, mad when they can't go outside and hang with their friends. It's the same thing. And because you're like that, the reason why you're like that is because, again, the foods that your body is processing, that is keeping your brain from being fully developed. Once your brain becomes fully developed, you become less attached to worldly things. You don't look at the world as they want you to. You look at the world as it is. So go ahead. I'm sorry. You have a question?
No, I just really want to say something about that because you know how you notice, like in a lot of schools, you find that children aren't listening. I think it might be related to this because when, like the first 7 years of their lives, if their brains are underdeveloped, right, that's number one. And then depending on what they're watching, a lot of them watch or play violent video games.
Yes.
Or there's all these things going on. And then there's the Halloween candy. I've seen children, like when I go to the store, I see children like just constantly on the like little ones, like 2 and 3 years old. They have the screen right in front of their face, just constantly, just to keep their child quiet. And in the store, they should be paying attention. That's an opportunity for them to learn how to read or pay attention to labels, or that's a teaching opportunity. That's what I do. But you see a lot of the parents just giving their children devices and the Halloween candy. I mean, there's children as young as 2 and 3, and you said something about the sugar, which is the ischemia. So it's like this huge attack, and these children seem like they're comatose, damn near, because.
Absolutely.
So when these children don't listen, like I just had this recent experience where this one child, he was having difficulties. All he wanted to do was watch TV, and he was having difficulties. And even when I told him, no, sit down, you're going to be okay. Just here, let me give you some toys. Here's a puzzle. Here's some mag formers. Let's do something and figure it out with your imagination. It's like he had this one track mind, and it's related to this. Is that a fair assessment?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. No question.
Okay.
Once we feed them better, the brain starts to heal and develop differently. And once that happens, then they're more intrigued in what their development is, as opposed to what's being fed to them. You see, they'll be more concerned with their personal development, and we're not concerned with our personal development because we're just eating foods that are keeping us what you would call in our lower part of our brain, which is the mammalian. And that's an animal part of our brain, because animals only looking for food, shelter, and mate. That's something we're past that. We were the first herbalists on this planet. We were the first ones that mapped the stars without having a GPS. We were the ones that built megalithic structures around the planet that lined up with the cosmos. So we went from doing that to literally working 9 to 5, that job does us no good. Children sitting inside of a building all day without any sunlight at all. They're getting a bell rung into their ear every 30 to 45 minutes. That's not helping them at all, along with the foods that they are being fed. So they're literally being trained or like animals inside of a zoo, inside of a cage. That's why when I look at school as like housing animals. That's what they want to do. And that's the etymology of the word school anyway, is to train a dog. It means skole, which is to train a dog or to hold you back. So that's exactly what when I see our children, that's exactly what I see. And it's a sad thing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's just, this is why I heavily promote homeschooling, because just as you said, people don't see it. And this is why I also brought up the maxim, and it's attributed to the Catholic Church, that if you give us your child for 7 years, we'll have them for life. And it's so apparent. Look at what they want us to do. So again, with Halloween, the constant candy, I mean bags, and parents are just giving it to their children and they don't understand. Tell us about some of the other foods. I know white sugar, white sugar. I use coconut sugar or date syrup. So people think if you say sugar, oh my God, I like sweets, but you can still have sweets. Dates are considered nature's candy. So I like date syrup, maple syrup, date sugar. But if that white sugar, they said when it's processed, it strips out all the nutrients, it alters it on a molecular level, and it's hard for our bodies to process.
Absolutely.
And it's like a foreign agent. So what are some of the other foods? Probably like the high fructose corn syrup. That's probably another one. That's a really big. Tell us about some of the foods that cause ischemia in the brain.
Yes, absolutely. Pasta. Anything that's white, any white bread, any type of cakes, pastas, noodles, those things right there build up ischemia in the brain, and it builds up what you call amyloid beta. It builds that up inside of the brain. It's called amyloid beta, and that is directly connected to what you call Alzheimer's.
Oh,
yes.
I've heard of that. Like there's something with, I've heard that one treatment to Alzheimer's, were like if you just give a person like coconut oil for a while, there's something that happens. Now, like raw virgin coconut oil, but that it was Alzheimer's and dementia was related to too much sugar, something going on in the brain. I have heard that before.
Absolutely. That is the number one thing. That's why they constantly have us eating that stuff. And our elderly people are, that's not normal to have. It's not even a science. It's not nowhere that you can find in any scientific peer review that Alzheimer's is a direct connection to old age. It's not. It's directly connected to,
because then everybody would get it.
Right. Exactly. It's directly connected to ischemia of the vital organs or vital inferior veins that are flowing through your brain. And if you are clogging that up at a young age, because again, we don't feel it. We just eating and we're running at 10, 15, 20 years old, 23, we eating and we just running. We're not realizing the residual effects that's going to take place with us when we get into our 50s, 60s, and 70s, or even somehow now it's in our late 30s, early 40s now, that this is having a major problem.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I've heard you speak of mirror neurons before in some of your videos. Can you tell us more about mirror neurons in the brain and how they function in children's brains from ages 0 to 7? What is the importance of that? Why do we need to know about these things?
Because children at that age are absorbing everything.
Okay.
Right?
Is that the mirror neurons? So the soft spot, is that part of the mirror neurons where they're located?
Your mirror neurons flow basically in your let me pull this up for you. So
okay.
Your mirror neurons has to do with your occipital.
Okay.
So your occipital has to do with your visual, what you see. So let me pull this up again. My apologies. My apologies, people, because my power was out over here and then they had to reset my whole computer. So my whole presentation, how I had it lined up, was completely gone. So this is your occipital lobe. This deals with visual processing.
Okay.
And light travels down the front of your spine and goes up the back of your spine. And if you see, this is the back of your head, you have your cerebellum here at the bottom, and your head right above that, you have your occipital lobe. Now, your occipital lobe, again, deals with visual and processing information through rods and cones through your eyes. What happens is, at a young age, especially 0 to 7, but we even have mirror neurons. Mirror neurons doesn't leave us alone. We have them through our entire life because we still can look at something, and then the first thing we would do is we would want to emulate that, no matter what it may be. Basketball, football, cooking, it don't make a difference. Whatever you saw somebody cook something, oh, I want to try that. Now, the thing is with children is, because children are in a learning stage, we're consistently learning through our entire life. But children, babies from 0 to 7, 0 to 9 are constantly learning. If children didn't see grown people walk, then they wouldn't be inspired to walk. See, because they saw it, they witnessed it with their physical eyes. They say, wait a minute, I want to do that. But see, we're not doing anything else outside of inspiring them to walk, play football and basketball, do some sort of entertainment. So that's what they see. So now they ain't doing nothing but repeating everything that they see. So when you look at the video games, when you look at the movies and the cartoons, what they're doing inside the cartoons, you can pretty much look at your child and see that they are trying to emulate what is on television. Children have a problem with distinguishing which is fictional from nonfiction. So what happens is they are absorbing it all. That's why it's very important that we teach our own child. We have our child to ourselves.
Yes. You know, the way I was raised was, I first learned about this when I had when my little brother was born. I was like 11 years old. And my dad taught me, he said, be very careful what you say around your little brother. Be very careful the things that you show him. And, and I learned that at a young age. And I just thought he was being protective because I was younger. I didn't really fully grasp the weight of what he was saying until I had my first child. And then I was like, okay, I need to make sure I didn't have cable in my room. I didn't have any kind of television service. I only got videos from the library that I wanted him to see. It was very controlled. All I got was books, So, look, or you want to watch a DVD or you want to watch something? Okay. So, and it was like, Reading Rainbow, all that stuff. Okay. We're just going to be right over here. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I got a video about math, a DVD about addition. Okay. Let's go over here. And so it was very sanitized. And this is why I wanted to have you on the show, because I understand that it's so important. The developing brain of the child, as you guys can hear and see, is so important. And this is what they don't want us to know. We think we're just going along and life is okay. And let's, give Billy, give Ron, just let him watch this. Just let him watch that. It'll be all right. And it's like, it's not okay. It's not okay because it gets in there, and it's like planting a seed. And again, this is why I want to start a preschool, because this is the kind of information that I want shared. So it's almost like it's a bridge. It's a bridge. It's like we need to work together. Like, let's be partners. But now, having said that, can you discuss why so-called Black people, because we all know we're not Black, but just we need to use that term colloquially. But can you discuss why so-called Black people have 7 trillion blood cells in our bodies and how we have the sun in our cells also? What does this mean exactly? And why is this information so important?
Whoa, I love that question. Thank you.
I know.
If you share my screen real fast, because I want to also, as I'm talking about that, but I also want to show the people that, listen, this is not just coming from me. This is coming from mainstream science too. You just have to do the research and look it up for yourself. So this right here, this what I'm showing you right now on the screen. When she asked me, when when she asked me about projection neurons, communicating neuron transmitting signals from one brain area to the other.
Okay.
Meaning that you are constantly pulling in through you have your central nervous system, which is your eyes, your brain, your spinal cord. That is your central nervous system. But you have also you have trillions of fibers all over your body, inside of your body. Now, the fibers are nothing but hair. They're just follicles of hair. But on the inside, you have the same thing, trillions of fiber. And what happens is electrical impulses hit those fibers, and that fiber pulls that energy and it sends those electrical impulses to your brain. And your brain then is a motor. That's what you have right here. I don't know. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. It says motor and other output neurons. Motor neurons contract muscles and mediate movement, and other output neurons stimulate glands and organs. So when you pull in information, no matter what it may be, rather again, if you're in a flight, fight, or freeze, you're great getting an argument or something. This is what you're pulling in the information, and these electrical impulses are triggering parts of your body. More importantly, your glands. It's going to hit your gland first, and you're going to hit your hypothalamus glands and your thalamus glands, and then from that, then it triggers your muscles and your glands, your muscles and other organs, or how you're going to react in that situation, no matter what it may be. And projection neurons are just communicating neurons that transmit signals from one brain area to the other, so that way that you don't see the cup, you're projecting the cup. You don't see your television, you're projecting the television, and a frequency of the television is projecting color images back to you in your brain. You don't see Daffy Duck on television. You actually see the color images that are coming in through your retinas, and those signals are being transmitted to your brain. And through rods and cones, you are now projecting back out what that electrical frequency is telling you. So you don't see anything; you're actually projecting everything. So,
that's
and
amazing.
the other question that you asked me was regarding, all right, let me pull this up real fast, was regarding the sun inside of our cells.
Yes.
Now, let me pull this up. Okay. All right. Here we go. The one thing about your whole entire body is one gigantic cell, but that one whole cell is broken down into trillions of other cells. And those cells are broken down into subatomic particles, and those are broken down into what you call atoms. Atoms is the first thing that makes up everything on this planet. An atom.
Okay.
An atom has about 80, don't have no weight to it. It weighs less than 80%. An atom has zero weight. And an atom is composed of what? Electrons, neutrons, and protons. And where do you get electrons and protons and neutrons from? The sun. The sun is the largest atom that sits in the center of the universe. So that right there, if the sun is an atom, and every one of my cells starts off as an atom, because this is the charge this is the energy that needs to pass down into the cells in order for it to start to developing into tissue and organs, which turns into organ systems. So if at the very core of each cell, before it's a finger, before it turns into a finger, a kidney, a liver, a heart, a neuron, the very core of it is an atom. And that atom is the sun, literally sitting in each one of our cells.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. You know, what the things that we decide to do, the choices that we make are so very vital when it comes to the children, because the children are the future. And this is the kind of information that we need as it relates to just, I had no idea. Yes. I went to public school. I didn't know. I was just like a lot of people, you know, you just go to class, you
Absolutely.
you grow up. It's like this revolving door. You grow up, you go to school, um,
Hmm.
you get a good job and you think you're going somewhere, and then you realize, wait a second, I'm not really doing anything. Because once you finally get your first apartment and this, you're like, okay, now what's next? It's like,
Yep.
there's really, we're not here to just do that. And then another thing I want to touch on is I want to I want everybody just to think about the first time they had to go to daycare, um,
Yes.
or that first time you had to be separated from, it could be your grandmother, whoever it is, but a loved one. Okay.
Yes.
And you had to be separated and just say, okay, you're going to go over here and you're going to be with these people. And you didn't know who these people were. You never met them before in your life, but you're supposed to just stay there with these
Yes.
people. And how did
Yes.
that make you feel? It's like it's something that's very, very unnatural. And we need to stop doing this with our children, especially now. If you're sitting up listening to this and you hear this information and how a child's brain develops, think about what you're exposing your child to when they go to school.
Yes.
I was,
Ab-
you're exposed to just like, I don't want to make any children wrong, but there are a lot of unhappy children. Maybe they come from homes that are just full of turmoil. And maybe let's just say you come from a loving home, but then now you're exposed to somebody else's trauma at a young age. And remember how the brain develops. So you're just taking that in, as a child, you're absorbing that information. It's not even yours. And then maybe you might start acting like this person or just have behavioral problems. And this is why we see what we see in this
yes.
world. What do you have here on the screen?
Right. Yeah.
I know that
No,
I'm
as
off
you
my soapbox, but
no, because I also wanted to let children know why it is so important for them to destroy your consciousness, why it's so important for them to
Mm,
attack your brain. And I want to read something real fast here. And again,
yes.
this is coming from uh Frank Author. I do believe that's his, I call him his name. Yes. Frank
Okay.
Amateur. Yeah.
Yes. All
Now,
right.
he's a neuroscientist. Now,
Mhm.
now again, anybody can order this, and you can read this up all if you want to. If this is your choice, I don't have to make any of this up. And I want children to really understand, and more importantly, our children to understand why they are being attacked the way that we are. See, we are being dumbed down because another
Mhm.
species cannot think and move the way that we can. See, this is the one thing. This is why they have to keep us in a state that we are in, because the moment that we realize who we truly are and what we really can do, we will move past these people very fast and quickly. So I want to bring them, when it comes to the prefrontal lobe, deciding and doing. I'm gonna start from right here. Large amounts of the brain not devoted directly to controlling movements or processing sensory input have traditionally been called association cortex. Although lumping all these sensories non-motor cortex together under this term is not very accurate. It is clear that association cortex allow very complex contingencies to exist between what is currently being received by the senses and what behavior occurs as a result. In other words, a large neocortex allows a lot of deciding to go on about what it is you are willing to do. Now, I want my children to really listen to this. This is why it's so important to keep your brain, your neocortex. Excuse me, not even the neocortex, because that shows the entire brain, but the prefrontal lobe of your brain, the neomammalian part of your brain. Why it's so important to keep this underdeveloped. Now, listen to this.
Mm.
Among mammalian species, those that we tend to think of as the most intelligent, such as primates. Now, the reason why gorillas or monkeys are, now listen, this is that's a primate, but the reason why they consider them intelligent, because they have the ability to grab an apple off the tree, a banana off the tree, and peel it. They have that, their brains develop to that capacity, but whereas though that they can actually do that. You can teach a monkey how to drive a car. You can teach a monkey to play football. You can teach a monkey to play basketball. Now, such as primate cetaceans. Now, cetaceans are just whales, dolphins, and perhaps elephants have the largest neural cortices. Well, it's not just the neural cortex that impacts intelligence. It's the size of the frontal lobe too. The most intelligent among the animals just listed is primates, have the largest frontal lobe relative to the rest of the neocortex. Now, this is why when I say that there had to be somebody here on the planet that manipulated genetics, because we don't have any of this inside of us. And I need our children to understand this. I need y'all to really look at what I'm saying here. This is why it's so important for your brain to be underdeveloped. We do not have 92% mouse. We don't have 98% monkey, 44% fruit flies, 26% yeast, 90% kitten, 98% monkey, 60% chicken, 80% cow, 71%, and this number is higher. It's around 80% zebrafish. We don't have none of that inside of our, what you would call DNA. And because we don't have that inside of our DNA, it allows us to be more advanced than other species that's on the planet. But because they're constantly having us abuse our brain, our physical brain, whether it's through physical contact, whether it's through the language that we are speaking again, or the environment that they have us in. And remember, let me say this to you: the limbic system that is inside. Let me pull this brain up real fast. The limbic system that sits beneath. Matter of fact, let me pull this image up. My apologies. The limbic system that sits. See, I had everything lined up here, and it just took me off of my game. Okay. Here we go. The limbic system that sits right next to right here, it sits in the center of the brain, your limbic system, and it sits on the left-hand side of the brain at that. Now, that limbic system deals with memory, past memory, not just slavery, but all the great things that you used to do as well. But if I constantly keep you thinking about slavery, and not necessarily just slavery, but the violence that came from slavery, abuse by another species, the police shootings, the advertisement of one of them killed one of us. They put it all through the news, and then they have children. We convince our children to speak up about police brutality and unjust crimes when that's not fair to our children, because that's the only thing that they're doing is keeping their brains from furthering to develop, because now they are in fear. So now I want to say something. This right here is when things go wrong neurologically, mental illness. I'm not going to read all of that up there, but I'm going to speak right here. Developmental errors in growth structures, genetic mutation. See, this is the first thing we must understand. That's why they have to follow universal law. They have to tell you this. A lot of the things that take place is through genetic mutation. It's meaning that it's unnatural.
Yes.
The number one rule in science, that what is natural can't change unless something unnatural take place with it. So the first thing they say, developmental errors in growth structures. If something go wrong, what's the first thing? Genetic mutation. And then, or environmental toxics can lead to defects in growth brain structure. Defects can include missing or abnormal small brain areas, such as the cerebellum or missing axon tracts connecting the brain area. Now, that's very important, because if your brain is missing an area, then how do you plan on functioning correctly in society amongst people that are silver? So when you sit back and you look at this and you say, well, wait a minute, why are these people consistently through eons of time have been doing nothing but performing violent and atrocity acts towards women and children, even their own, by the way. You have to understand that this has come from a genetic mutation. Their brains are not fully developed. They could never reach the frontal lobe of their brain. No other species on this planet is able to think and move with the frontal lobe of their brain. They're all moving with the cerebellum, and that's it. And if you pull up, and I'm sorry I don't have this, but if you pull up what functions do the cerebellum what functions are the cerebellum responsible for, and once you read the 7, I believe it's 7 actions that the cerebellum is responsible for, and then look at our species, or not just ours, you can look at the species that is so-called leading us, and you can see that this is as far as they go. This is as far as they go. So because they can't reach a higher perspective of life, or a higher consciousness, or a higher way, a higher thinking pattern of life, we are stuck down there as well. So you have damages to your cerebellum, damages to your prefrontal lobe, and then you can go into even dysfunctional neural pathways, because you have what you call dendrites that are connected to your neurons that have what you call an axon tract. See this right here? It says axon tract. That's an axon tract. So that axon tract is connected to neurons inside of your brain that travels down and sends information to other vital parts of your body. So when you wiggle your toe, that is a electric impulse that is being sent down from a neuron in your brain through an axon tract down to your toe. That's why sometimes if you ever notice, if you bang your finger right away, you don't feel it that very second. When you hit your toe in the morning, you be like, oh, you might not feel it for that split second, because the signal had to be sent up to your sensory motor cortex, down to your thalamus, and then it had to send that signal back down to your to your toe, and then make you aware all in the same time that you just stubbed your toe. Now that is all happening in a matter of a second. This is how fast your body is communicating with one another. This is how fast your brain is communicating with your body. Let's just say that.
Wow. Neurological mental illness. I don't believe I caught that. You may have said that, but what is the name of that book that you're reading from? It's this one here. What is the name of this book?
It's called Neuroscience for Dummies. And a lot of people, when I get these books, when you understand something, the laws are written in Latin. Medical terminology is written in jargon. None of us know Latin and jargon. So what happens is these doctors, these professors, because they want to, I don't want to say get the message out, but because again, it's another way of them earning money and they value their job. They broke the lingo down from jargon into English, so that way that you can better understand and have a better understanding and overstanding of it. So, but the first time we'll see a book that says, "Oh, this for dummies," and you be like, "Oh, I'm not reading this," or I'm not no dummy. But you don't understand. That's not. They had to put that on there so that way it can defer you from wanting to read it and learn about it. Because there is a lot of medical terminologies in this book that I can sit here and go through that 99.9% of our people have the slightest idea what I'm talking about.
That was the first time I've ever heard that term you were speaking of, neurological mental illness.
Right.
And it's based on,
All mental illnesses are devoted and thrive from the brain and the damage that has been done to the brain. All mental illness, all of it. Like here's another part of it that I would want to share with you as far as
Okay.
Environmental causes organic dysfunctions. Now, I want y'all to understand,
Ooh.
they have to put it in front of you. You have
Yes.
a choice if you want to pay attention or not. So
Yes.
children, that you looking at the environment that you're in, don't, you only got to look at your household. We all have, things going on inside of our household. But when
Right.
you just step outside your door and you look at the environment that you are in, understand that is strategically placed the way it is. So let's go with this. The brain can be damaged by overt energy, such as by a blow to the head. Now, you can be playing slap boxing. Boys like to play slap boxing. Boys like to wrestle. And then you fall and you hit your head. That is a blow or shock to your brain. And it sends a signal to the brain that there is something wrong. Whenever this signal is being sent to your brain that something is wrong, it contracts its growth. When you about to fall, you brace yourself for a fall so you don't get hurt as much. So the same thing happens to your brain. Your brain contracts itself. So now it stops the development, the growth and development of it. So if your brain is constantly contracting itself in the mammalian part of which is the lowest part of the brain, and if it's constantly contracting itself there, how can a neo mammalian start to grow? So it can also be damaged by toxin such as lead and mercury. We see that inside of our schools, inside of the paint, the lead and mercury that's now inside these light bulbs that we are putting inside of our house. That produces development delays and other mental incapacities without overt signs of brain damage. So you don't even see the brain damage like a football player. He playing football his entire life, and then when he gets 45, 50, 60 years old, he can't play no more. All of a sudden, he's dealing with all kinds of mental distress illnesses. The same thing that goes on when somebody was in the Vietnam War. When they went to war in Vietnam, they didn't have the same effects that they had once they came from Vietnam. So once they went over there and then they came back, then it's post the war, as they start to get older and the memory start, playing back in their mind of all the things that took place with them. They're like, wait a minute. Now you hear they need medication because they're under depression. They don't know what they're going to do to themselves or do to others because of what they experienced during the war. Because when they were younger, shooting guns and thinking that you were doing something right for your country, when you go back and as hindsight is always 20/20, as years go on, you look back at it and say, damn, what was I doing?
You know what? You just mentioned something about the environmental distress, or some of the things that can go wrong due to environmental factors. And we just talked about mercury. A lot of people don't know this. They're trying to get away from this now, but they still put mercury in dental fillings.
Yes.
Okay. And then it's also in this here. Okay. It's also in these right up in here. And you think, and then the schedule, look at the schedule that they have your child on. I mean, right. I think they're trying to give them now at birth, but at least at 3 months, they're doing this on your child. And it'll be like maybe 2 or 3 that they say, oh, well, this is required and this and that. And it's affecting the child's brain development.
Yes.
This is why this information is so important. I mean, this stuff is everywhere. And I knew that it was poisonous, but I didn't draw the whole line, but I knew it was having some type of effect on the bodies. I know they're saying these cause autism. Okay. And so that's like a link, right? But I know that different diets and foods can correct it. And I will say this too, as full disclosure, so people can see how transparent I am on my journey. When I had my son in the hospital, as most mothers do, and then I had him on the schedule, but then I woke up in 2010. Or put it this way, no, when he was 10 years old, I woke up and I was like, wait a second, I don't think I should be giving him these anymore. But people were saying that, asking me, he seems like he's on the spectrum. Is he on the autism spectrum? Is he high functioning autistic and stuff? So, and then when I look back, I just feel like there could have been something to that. I've homeschooled this whole time, but I just feel like there might have been something. I don't know. I changed his diet. I did all kinds of stuff because I was like, wait a second, Because when somebody told me that, is he on the spectrum? I was like, oh, hell no. I was like, wait a second. What are they seeing? And so I said, let me look and start looking into natural things. And I changed his diet. I got my child on herbs and I stopped giving him those things. And now it's a completely different story. But I just want parents to be aware of that. I mean, look at all the stuff that they're doing from every angle. You think just going to the dentist is something very innocent and simple, but if we just give our children the right kind of diets and not the white sugar, they won't need to go to the dentist. So we have to be kind of preventive, and we just have to start. Trust me, I know it's a change, and it's like, damn, now this, damn, now that, So I understand that as a mother, but like we've been lied to, and I'm still peeling back the layers, and I'm still learning a lot of things, and I'm just so appreciative of what you're sharing today. It sounds like there's something else you want to say too.
No, I'm listening to you. I'm listening.
Okay. But just as I want to go back and point out some important terms that you talked about as far as what's going on in the brain. Parents, remember this one. Ischemia. Remember that term, ischemia, which is the hardening of the arteries in the brain. That can happen over time due to diet. And it can also lead to Alzheimer's and dementia at a later stage in life. And those two afflictions have nothing to do with just getting old. So I just want you to remember that. And ischemia, hardening of the arteries, is due to mostly by white sugar, but there are other things like refined flours, refined sugars, foods that have been chemically altered to make them sweeter, saltier, things like that. This is what is going to cause this condition. Also, be careful of what the kinds of things that you're showing your child at a young age, because the sotosensory cortex.
You have your somatosensory cortex.
Somato.
Somato. SOMATOSENSORY. Somato.
So the somatosensory cortex is that part of the brain that is considered the soft spot. So when your baby's born, they have that soft spot, but that soft spot represents your child just soaking up information like a sponge. So they're taking in everything, and I mean everything. So this is why I say it's so important for children to be homeschooled. Keep them home with you. Keep them home with you, and be vigilant about what you put in front of your child. Protect their ear gate and their eye gate. Okay, what you say, the words you speak over them, the vibrational frequencies. What kind of music are you playing? Are you listening to some bonehead rap music? I'm sorry, but I can't mess with nobody's mumble rap. I can't do it. What is that? So it's like programming. So look, it's just very important. And we've covered a lot of important information in this subject matter, but just the developing portion of the brain. Remember, parents, we're the front line here. We're the front line for the children. The children are the future. And whoever controls the education controls the future. And it's really that simple. And the children live on after we do. So if we don't set them up and prepare them, then what do we have to come back to? What do they have to look forward to? What are we leaving them? And this is so very, so very important. Brother Kalab, is there anything else that you would like to share with us that we did not cover?
No, I definitely look forward to us doing this again. And I want to apologize for the delay. Again, it was a power outage over here on my side. And I was trying to get everything together. And then once my computer shut down, so it seemed like I'm a little bit unorganized, but however, I do look forward to doing this again. I'm going to definitely get sharper, get better, but yes, I would tell people, like, we have to focus on, if you look at the brain, and I want to say, I'm going to show people something real fast.
Okay.
Let me show something. If you, this is, and I did this. If you look at the brain, without us, this is why they sexualize everything.
Yeah.
If you look at the brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
The brain represents your entire body because it controls your entire body. That's why you sit there. You literally sit inside of your brain and the pineal gland. That's you sitting right there, consistently operating your vehicle. Now, this vehicle, when you look at from a male point of view, this would be his reproduction over what you would call scrotum sac. This would be his phallus. Now, if again, what is the one thing that they keep us stuck at? Sex, drugs, murder. This is where they have us at. Video games, nothing that want us as a male, as an individual male, to be better for myself. And one of the things they do have us have males as us worshiping all the time instead of doing all the time. That's the one thing that they have us do, worshiping and praying for a better tomorrow instead of creating a better tomorrow. We don't see reality, we project reality. So when you look at this, and we, again, in an animal state, I just read this, I read it all from a mammalian. Most animals, they think about shelter, food, and reproduction. That's it. That's all animals think about. And if you look at our species as today, that's basically on our mind. Get money, go on vacation, go somewhere, and just be with a woman, or a woman be with a man. And we're far advanced. We're far more advanced than that. Way far more advanced. But because these people can't think beyond that, because again, I used to fault them for it. But as I learn this, the more I learn, the more I can't fault them for their behaviors. I really can't. I can fault them for the violence that they have caused amongst us. But just their behaviors and how they conduct themselves on a day-to-day basis, I can't blame them. Because if I had that many different DNAs of other species inside of me, I don't know how I would conduct myself. And more importantly, they showed us, children, I know y'all watch movies. One of the movies that you can watch and that will speak clearly about what I'm talking about, and they show it to you all the time in movies, is Jurassic World. And I'm going to give you a little part in Jurassic World. When remember in Jurassic World, they created all the other animals through DNA, through DNA, manipulating their DNA, and they brought them back to life. Now, if you notice, none of the other animals, the pterodactyl was the pterodactyl, the velociraptor was the velociraptor, the T-Rex was the T-Rex. They all understood their boundaries, and they all got along together, and they understood the chain of command. But once they created something in a lab that was T-Rex, velociraptor, and 4 or 5 other different animals in one, that one animal did not know how to conduct himself amongst everyone else that was living in harmony. See, everyone knew that the T-Rex is a carnivore. So when a T-Rex come around, he's coming to eat somebody. So people got out of his way. But he only killed to eat. Just like if you look at lions, or you look at any natural animal in nature that feeds off another animal, it only does that when it's time to eat. Nobody's sitting around saying, you know what? All right, I got a full belly today. I'm still going to kill this animal. No, they don't do that. So the unnatural organism on this planet has to keep you at a low conscious state, awareness state of who you truly are. Because the moment that you grow past what they tell you are, and start to see who you truly are, you will no longer fall or play victim to this system. You would start to take accountability. You would ask more questions. Children don't ask questions because they're not empowered. The reason why the male lion grows up to be strong because he watched his father grow up. And he watched his father as he was growing up being strong. He watched his mother as he was growing up being strong. So now the male lion has no other choice but to be strong and speak up for itself. But if our cubs are looking at us as grown adults, just imagine how a child feels when we walk into a hospital. The child feels as though that the doctor is right because you're saying the doctor is right. I imagine how a child feel when you walk into the school and the school teacher is telling you something about your child. Your child is having trouble learning. Your child don't want to sit down. It's constantly jittering and moving around. Maybe your child needs to see a psychiatrist. Maybe your child needs to be on some sort of medication. And you're looking at the teacher. You deep down inside, you don't want to do that to your child, but yet you believe the child and you believe the teacher, and the child is sitting there looking like, I don't need this. I just don't feel this for some odd reason. I don't know why I don't feel it. I just don't feel it. And because we don't explain this, or we fail to teach ourselves and explain truth to our children, believe me, if we was to explain truth to our children will go to school differently. They will go to school differently because now, guess what? When they go to school, now they're asking questions. Well, how are you doing this? And this is supposed to be going on. Well, how am I learning this? And why am I learning this? Now, you know what happens? The teacher that knows already that this is a lie, she will automatically start to change her pitch, or she wouldn't feel comfortable performing a lie to our children. That's the key. The same thing when you go into a hospital, a medical hospital. The doctor is telling you, you got to get this shot. You got to get that shot. And you do your own due diligence work. And you say, well, wait a minute. Before all of this was going on, why do I need to get a shot? Well, I don't need this. This is something, you don't see anything natural in nature going to go get shots. You don't see nothing getting shots. But why do I need to get vaccinating shots? And what's in the vaccination? What's in this shot that you're going to give my child? See, those are the questions that you start to ask. And guess what? When you present them that way, they feel uncomfortable doing their lie. I don't want to say their job, doing their lie. And guess what? They will think about what they're getting ready to say to you because they know it's all around is a lie. They will think first. And guess what that will in turn do? Empower your child, because they only empower our children to resolve issues through violence. If you look at everything on even the cartoons is you resolve issues through violence. You have to have people afraid of you in order to you resolve an issue. And that's not the case. You have people afraid of truth, and that resolves the issues.
You know what? When you were just saying that, I have a question.
Yes.
When you go to public schools.
Yes.
Now, how many have you been to? I know I've seen you go to one, and it was elementary level. But how many have you gone to in your community?
I have been outside 3 schools already.
Were they all elementary?
I would say between 6th graders to 12th graders.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
6 to 12.
Yeah.
Okay.
12th graders.
So I want you to share some of your experiences, like how did the children receive you as opposed to their parents or some of the adults?
Oh, yeah, it's like night and day. And I'm gonna tell you why it's like night and day.
Yes.
The reason why is because first and foremost, the teachers, they see. So what happens is when I'm out there, the principals and the teachers or the security guards that are out there, they're actually telling the parents that there is something wrong with me. That there is something wrong with him. He's racist. He's hatred. This is all goes on. They don't lie. The school down the street from me tried to get the police officers to lock me up. But the police officer said, how can I lock him up when he's across the street and he's not doing anything violent? He has a right to speak his mind. So what he's speaking about, I can't, he's not threatening no one, he's not harming anyone, but yet you want me to do something to him so he can stop coming down here to this corner. So I get once the parents come over to me and they hear me out, I present that's why it's very important to have cards with information on it, and visual information means a lot. So once the parents hear me out, they literally be stuck in flabbergasted. They literally be like, and the children are way more acceptable. They be listening to me like eyes wide open, literally eyes are wide open because I know that they are ready for this.
Yes.
But the teachers and the principals, they be out there. They label me to the parents as racist, and then in fact they even changed the entrance at this school down here. They used to let the side door. Now they changed the entrance to go all the way around the other side, so parents can bring their children in because I'm. That's sad.
Oh, that's slick.
Yeah.
That's
sad. It's very sad though. I just and you know, and I tell them that I say, you know, it's very sad.
Wow.
You know, and it's sad and telling at the same time that you will do anything to keep my children in your clutches.
Yep.
Because you know, the moment that I get to them, your lie is no longer comfortable for you.
Wow. That's deep.
Yeah.
People are just, that's amazing that people are just, it's like they're running from the truth. It's really sad that we still have to experience that this day and age. You would think people would be ready to come out of the slumber, but maybe they will in due time as things progress. I have something I want to ask you.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So as you know, like I said, I'm starting an online preschool, and I want you to come and teach the children. I want you to create like little bitty presentations, maybe 3 minutes in length, no more than that. And then maybe do something like that 4 times a month. So that way I can break down and I'll create the worksheets and things like that. But this is because remember, I'm into promoting knowledge of self.
Yes.
And we can work out the details as far as, you know, what is that? Payment, like compensation. Okay. No. But I want you to, but I really want you to do this because like I said, I'm serious about this. I don't believe in the public schooling system. But what I'm doing is, you know, private, and I'm just trying to be of service and help parents, because a lot of parents, they just kind of don't know. They want to, but they don't know how or where to get started.
Yes.
And what I'm doing is a way to help them supplement. So as they're getting their children together, they're short lessons, they're 30 minutes. I don't want the children to be overloaded. I know they're not supposed to have a lot of screen time. I don't believe in that. But 30 minutes, and then they can repeat as necessary and spread it out. So there's not too much screen time at a very, very small age. But I want you to be a part of this. And I'm going to be asking a few other people that are very, very key individuals, because this preschool is going to be all that. And when I say, these children are going to be learning about knowledge of self, that's some real talk. That's not, what do you call it? Lip service.
Right.
These kids are going to be, okay, look, we're going to help parents. We're here to help.
And they
you know what I'm saying? When I say that, I want you, it's like, I'm going to be your partner. And then I want you to take it from there. You know, we can work together a little bit. So to get you over the hump and the bridge, so you know that you can do it, even though it's scary, I'll be here to help. And then you take it from there, you take it and run with it from there.
Yes.
And that's what I'm here to do. I'll put up this, where is it? This one ticker one last time. And just so people can see it, if you're interested in being a founding family for Sunschool Preschool. Okay. You can send me a direct message on Instagram at Mama Bear Ade Lohoski and on my Facebook page at Bringing It Home with C.N. Smith. Is there anything, I don't know, does anybody have any questions for Brother Kala? Anybody have?
I want you to know I'm deeply honored and I really appreciate that. And believe me, I'm already pushing myself and hard on myself to learn this. So all the thing you're going to do is just make me even go any further.
Okay, so here's a question. When can we start biology for a child at age 2? I would say just, head and shoulders, knees and toes. We can start there, but remember what we talked about, Brother Kala brought up, they're just soaking in information. So let me just tell you what I did with my baby girl. She's going to be 6 in January. So what I did when she was like, I don't know, 1 month old, I was just showing her, I was reading to her. I had the books right there. I had books. And then I also played sign language videos for her. So it had music, classical music. And even though she was like 2-3 months, I'd prop her up in her boppy pillow and I'd let that mess play for 30 minutes. And then I would come back later. Here's another 30 minutes. And by the time she was 11 months old, when she had better control of her body, she did her first sign, which is hat. She was 11 months old. And at 11 months old, they don't talk that much. I mean, they're making sounds, but it's like mama, dad, baba, but I knew she could read. She could read because she had been watching those videos. See what I'm saying? And so all I did was hold up a flashcard and it would say hat, mama, and she would just do the sign. And she would say, she'd make the sound a little bit, but she was doing the sign. So I knew she could read when she was 12 months old. And this is what I want parents to learn. Do not be afraid to just say, you know what, I'm going to go to the library, get a DVD, and, let's just put in an addition video. Let's do a sign language video, things like this, because the children's brains are developing and they will take it in. Okay. And all you got to do is just test them later.
Exactly.
Just test them later. Okay. And it's going to require some growth on your part too, because you may be tempted to be like, well, I'm busy. I'm going to go over here, sit with them a little bit and see what they're learning. So you could say, oh, you might start singing the song. Right. Oh, remember head and shoulders, knees and toes. And they might say, oh yeah, Right. So you have to sit there with them and take it into, and then come back later and test it. It's really, really simple and easy. Okay. So thank you for your question, Precious. You can do it. Just get like a little book on biology, or just say, this is my head, this is my eyes, or facial expressions. And so they can start tuning into that.
Or you can put in, and also you can get a coloring book. You don't have to, the child don't have to color, but especially when it comes to the brain, you can color in certain parts of the brain because kids recognize colors. If you ever notice, this is why television has so many different colors per scene. It's constantly, especially cartoons and your cereal boxes. So they recognize colors. So if you start coloring and you started talking, you don't have to, again, you ain't got to say this is the dicephalon, these are the basal ganglia, this is your circle of Willis. You don't have to, you can say your frontal lobe, your prefrontal lobe, this is the stem part of your brain, and you constantly do it. Again, it's going to take a lot of growth for you, because guess what? You have to be able to get the information in, and then you have to be able to translate it to your child and their level of consciousness. And believe it or not, what you don't understand, by you doing that at such a young age, when they turn 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, they already got it. They already moving with it. So you're gonna have to be more advanced than them when they turn 7, 8, 9 years old, because if you're constantly doing it and you're not, and especially with the way that you're feeding them, because that's the most important thing. You want to feed them things that have electrical energy in it. You want to feed them things that are high vibratory fruits. You wake up in the morning, have some apples, have some grapes, have some water. Do that, especially before you start talking to them and then you wanting them to learn. Give them an apple. Give them red. I like to eat a lot of red fruits. I don't like to eat too many other fruits, but I like red fruits, and apples and cherries and red grapes are very are very good for you. So I would say give them that in the morning with some good water, and then start talking to them, and then start getting in. But more importantly, please have the colors with you, and you can definitely teach them.
No, please don't apologize. And I just want to share what I do as far as being a homeschooling mother, and what I do with my daughter is, so just as Brother Kala states, she wakes up and she has a smoothie every morning. We have an orange tree. So she gets and we just juice those oranges. And so she gets that fresh dose of vitamin C. We put berries in it. We put fresh ginger. And to sweeten, we either use honey, local honey, or some date syrup. We put bananas. So she gets this smoothie every morning. And then, she's already reading she could pick up whatever book it is. She could pick up that science book for dummies and she'll read it. And she's 6.
Yes.
Okay. So let me tell you something. And I'm not just brag, I guess that, I'm going to brag on my baby, but listen,
yes, you should.
But this is where I want your children to be too. This is why I say, let's be partners. And this is why I also, so there's 2 things. One, if you have a child that's 3 to 5, you can become a founding family, and I'll hook you up, and the tuition is only $47 a month. Okay. Or if you want to transition your child from public school to homeschooling, you can see right across the bottom right there, I wrote a guide to help parents do just that. So it's really simple and easy. Let me tell you something. Get your kids out. Please get your kids out, because look, people are making legislation talk about having, what do you call these pronoun policies and stuff, and what they doing with these bathrooms, and the kids don't even know about geography and how to read a map and how to self-navigate, and there's no critical thinking, and they definitely don't know about the power of, or the notability of, their own genetics and how their own brain functions.
Exactly.
They don't even know that. And these people are arguing, these people in so-called positions of authority are arguing about what they want to do with your child.
Come on.
And it's like, this is getting very disturbing. I mean, they have drag queen story hour. This is getting stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And so the sooner you realize that we don't have time to keep saying, okay, let me just tell you something. Again, I don't sit in a place of judgment. It is going to be difficult. And there's still lots of areas where I'm called to continue to grow. But if we can teach our children now, the one thing that is going to be consistent and that is going to be required of us, it's change. Change is going to be consistent. So even if it's scary, go ahead and do it. It's going to be scary, but you can do it. I want to share it. Can I share a story? Because I know I just got you here and everything, but I want to share a story, because I want to share a parental story for the people. Let me tell you something. When my son was, I don't know how old he was. He was like 7 years old. He was playing his little mag formers, okay? And I said, okay, son, look, it's time to go to bed. Let's get in this bed. And he was like, Mommy, I was working on an invention. I had this whole thing I was building out, and I can't find my isosceles triangle. I can't find that shape. And I've been looking, and I want to build this before I go to bed. And I said, honey, we'll just go look really quick and go see if you can find it. And he couldn't find it, and he was distressed, and I said, okay, listen. I said, look, ask your own inner guidance where the triangle is. Ask yourself, where's my isosceles triangle? And then go to sleep. And then when you wake up, you'll find it. And he said, okay, Mommy. And then when he woke up, I was busy doing something else when I woke up. I was in the kitchen washing dishes, whatever. And the brother woke up and he said, Mommy, I found it. And I said, where was it, son? And he said, it was under the bed. And do you know, when he was looking under the bed last night, the previous night, Kala, do you know he couldn't find it? And why couldn't he find it? Because he was stressed out. And he was stressed out. And remember how you can't think properly when you're stressed out? He was upset. He
Can't.
was frustrated. Oh, I can't. Oh, where is it? But when he went to bed and relaxed and laid down, the answer came to him. And he looked and he said, Mommy, now I can see. I said, because sometimes we're looking, but we can't see. Okay. And
That's
that's
right.
what happens. That's what happens. So, and I have lots of stories like that where he was creating his own reality. He was talking to objects and making them fall down. And so when you're homeschooling, these are the little moments, these experiences that you can have with your child, having them create their own reality, create their day. Here's what I want to
Come on.
see today.
Come
And this is
on.
the stuff. And so when he's going to be 18 soon, but when he's having these difficulties now, I'm like, well, remember when we did this? Remember when we did that? And he's like, oh yeah, okay. So I just want you to get a hold of your babies, bring them home so they can experience and learn about the real magic of life and the power
That's right.
that they really do have. And you have it too. You as the parents have it too. So I don't know. We could keep talking about this all day, but I don't want to keep holding y'all. I don't know. Is there? Hold on. I think there might be another question here. You have 16, 12 years old, and 11 boys at homeschool, but you homeschool them, but I was never aware of this information myself until I started watching Kala. So my question is, should I just start them up on the book immediately? Get my guide, Dove. Get my guide, okay? And then look, here's the thing about homeschooling. I'm just going to block your question because it's kind of large on the screen. But as far as just get the guide, and then the beauty in homeschooling is you as the parent, you choose the curriculum. So if you want them to learn about, okay, now y'all get up in here, I'm gonna turn on Kala and you better watch this video about the brain. And then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna ask you some questions about it. So it's something that you should already have watched. And then you say, okay, now what did you learn? That's what I do. Like when it comes to history and stuff like that, I'm like, all right, I have my son, he's 18, but I'm like, okay, I just found out something new. And you're going to come over here and watch this. So again, that's the beauty. You're in charge. So if you want them to learn the information and you can't speak it eloquently, you're like, well, I can't really rehash it out. Like Brother Kala, sit them down in front of that. Sit them down. This is your biology lesson for the day. Okay. That's how I do it. Okay. I don't even mess around with it, especially when they're older. Okay. But get the guide so you can kind of see, because you might want them to learn math and things like that. So I address all of those issues in the guide. And then also Precious. Now I know you started off as a young parent, Brother Kala, right?
Yes.
You started young. I
19.
started late.
I was 19 years old.
Shoot, I had my first child when I was 30 years old.
What?
Yes. Oh, I waited. I didn't want to have no kids. I was like, I ain't having no kids. I ain't doing that. And then, because you get brainwashed. So I was brainwashed. I didn't want to have no kids. I ain't doing that. And then, I met Joseph's father, and I was like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready now. I want to have a child now. But anyhow, Precious.
Yeah, I was ready to answer her question for her.
Yes, please do.
That isolation comes from other species. That doesn't come from us. We naturally have a divine connection to one another. We have what you call a biofield. If you search up biofield, you will see that the biofield, matter of fact, I'm going to share my screen again. Your biofield looks like this. Let me show you something. The biofield looks just like that. It looked like because again, we send out what we want through our thoughts and our actions, and we pull in what we want. So we send out and we pull in. So your biofield looks just like that. Other species don't have that. And what I mean by that, they don't have a biofield that connects them to any other thing other than themselves as individuals. That's why they look at themselves as an individual. That's why everything is created on the planet is in a selfish manner. I am a millionaire. I am a business owner. I run this company. That's why everything is a selfish I matter. Because with trees and plants, they don't look at each other as I. Nature don't look at each other as I. They look at each other as we. When you see a herd of buffaloes, when you see a herd of gazelles, when you see a herd of hippos, you even see a group of zebras. You'll see animals that stick together. Now, when we created nature as a message for us. And the message that was always going to be sent in nature, this is how you would live if you were to live together. This is how you would live if you was to live singular. And if you look at the animals in nature that stick together in groups, they have a better chance of survival. Ants, honeybees, they do more for the planet, to be honest with you. Those that stick together and move together in groups.
You know, and I want to add to that too, Precious. Again, as I've stated, I've been homeschooling for 17 years and counting. And here's the thing. I know when a child goes to school, there's like this built-in social system that's there, right? So, and when you take your child out of that, there's a concern, well, you know, how will they make friends or whatever? So there's a couple of things you can do. Now, I talk about this in my guide, but the main thing is this. You're going to have, this is going to be part of your growth too, Precious, because if you don't already have a built-in tribe or support system around you, you're going to have to create that for your child. And that's what I did. I was new to this area where I'm at now. I live in Modesto, but I was from the Bay Area in Oakland, California. So, you know, when I was pregnant with my son, I moved out here to Modesto and I didn't know anybody here. So I was like, oh, okay. All I had was my family, but my family was against me homeschooling. So I had to literally build a support system around me. So I started with, I enrolled my son in piano lessons and he met children there. I met parents and, you know, children there. And then I enrolled my son in martial arts. And then I started to build up connections through that. So, and then when I would take him to the park and things like that, and you meet other families. And also, if you go to museums or places like that during regular school hours and you see other parents with families there, then they're homeschooling too, 9 times out of 10. So you have to just start building your connections in that way. And also the good thing about that is when you take your child to a regular school, you know that they're going to have to spend time with children that they don't like or that are kind of toxic, unfortunately, or even teachers or administration people that are toxic. At least with homeschooling, you can choose through your biofield, right?
That's right.
Choose who you want to spend time with. You're going to feel a connection. And
Bingo.
that's the beauty in that. You can actually choose who you want in your space. And there's power in that.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
I totally agree with you. Yes, it is.
What's this? What's this magnetoreceptor?
All right.
Did we go over this?
Yeah, this is part of the pineal gland. This is one of this is the most important and most powerful organ inside of the brain. And this pineal gland sits at the top of your hypothalamus, your thalamus. This is at the top. Now, when I went down and I showed y'all sensory right here, your somatic sensory cortex, your somatic cortex. These information and energetic signatures go through this portion of the brain. And this is where the soft spot, when your babies are born, this is the soft spot. When these information goes down in here, based upon your level of intelligence and based upon what you have been doing with your body, more importantly, the growth of your brain, it's going to trigger your thalamus and your limbic system. That's the first things that it's going to trigger. down, and
Okay.
your thalamus and your limbic system is down here, more close to the mammalian part of your brain. Now, based upon, again, how you took care of your body and your brain, that's your lower part of your thinking. So let's just say you smelt a cheeseburger. Your somatic sensory cortex, through the fibers in your nose, picked up the gases, went through your nose, sent the electrical signal through your conscious to your brain, and it modulated neurons that indicated to you, well, I want to get that cheeseburger, because you're thinking instead of reacting. However, if you're eating healthy and your brain is correct, when you smell that cheeseburger or you seen them cheese fries, you would say, no, I don't want to do that. That's not good for me. I'm not going to do that. So it's very important that the pineal gland, if you look at you pull up any neurological book or any book that has to do with genetics, especially when it comes to the brain, they're only going to give you a little bit of information or next to none when it comes down to the pineal gland. But the pineal gland is the most important organ that is inside so-called Black people body. See, this is them releasing information right here. Scientists believe that the pineal body, because they call it the pineal body, because it controls the entire body. This is where what you would call neuromelanin, cerebral fluid, spinal fluid. It goes through your choroplexus, which is the third and fourth ventricle. The third and fourth ventricle sits up by your frontal lobe. Your third and fourth ventricle sits up here by your temporal lobe or your frontal lobe. It sits right in here in the middle. And that right there shoots that liquid, which you call neuromelanin, inside of your pineal gland. And it says scientists believe that the pineal body is a magnetoreceptor capable of monitoring magnetic fields, because it has its own magnetic field and you have the ability to connect to the magnetic field. And I'm going to show you what I mean by connecting to the magnetic field. So when you see birds, honeybees, or anything flapping its wings that are flying, they're not flying by flapping their wings. They're sending an energetic pulse up their back as they're flapping their wings, and they're connected to the magnetic field, which gives them the ability of what you call fly. So it helps them. Yes, it monitors magnetic fields and helps to align the body in space. The body in space. Now, the pineal gland is known as the third eye because it is proven to be to the link to our consciousness, proven to be the link to our consciousness, mind, and to deeper inner realms. It is also proven that we only use about 20% of our brain. Now, I want to tell y'all something. That is not true. We don't use 20% of our brain. We don't use 20%. If we use 20% of our brain, we will be even more dangerous. We don't use 20% of our brain. They stopped that alone. And I'm going to say, when I want to say they didn't stop it a long time ago, but we stopped it a long time ago, given that we became more dense meaning more heavy. We feel physically more than we feel more subconsciously. And that's the dangers that we are living in. We're feeling more physical. So that's meaning that we allow our body to speak for us instead of us dictating our body. Your car, when you get in your car, you tell your car to drive forward, drive backwards, make a left turn, make a right-hand turn. Your car don't dictate to you. What's happening is our vehicle, our bodies that we are inhabiting is now dictating to us. So considering the most powerful and highest source of ethereal energy available to humans, the pineal gland has always been important in initiating supernatural powers. And this is the one thing that they don't want you to know or understand, that your pineal gland, what they would consider as anything that you see with sci-fi movies, the X-Men, Avengers, all of that stuff represents us. That's why all of these people that you see, when they come, they all can connect back to actually melanin. Spider-Man sensors go off. He can feel danger, everything around because he has a biofield, and the fibers on his skin. When you see somebody walking up behind you, be like, "What? I knew you was behind me. I felt you walking up behind me." You see what I'm saying? When you walk inside of a room, a bunch of people, and people may look at you and don't say nothing, but you feel what they're saying you be like, yo, I feel a little funny in here, or I feel
Yeah.
happy that I feel wanted here. So even the Credible Hawk with green, the Credible Hawk becoming green, gamma radiation. You understand? When you look at the Aurora Borealis, what color are they? They're green. That's the highest form of radiation. That's the strongest. And what happened with the hawk? You could, every time he would get hit, he would become stronger. He would automatically adapt. And that's what happens with us with our melanin. We adapt constantly. Melanin doesn't get destroyed. It constantly evolves.
So what does that mean? Is there something going on with the melanin too? Like, because sometimes like I get like chills or the little hairs on my skin stand up, like when there's certain music, there's something playing, and I kind of get like this feeling that washes over me. Like I feel the music. There's something. It's like, ooh, like, is that what that is?
Yeah, not just that, but you also, your body releases endorphins. When you're happy, your body releases chemicals, endorphins. That's happiness. So your body is what happens is you absorb the frequency through your auditoria, and it hits your cochlea. It hits your cochlea inside of your ear, which pulls that information again to your somatic motor cortex, and then it processes that information, and you take that information as you like it. So therefore, it is your body is given a reaction. See, once it comes to you and you like it as a soul being, your body reacts.
Okay, because that's amazing. Because I often get like this chill kind of feeling, like when I feel like I'm feeling somebody's pain, or sometimes when I watch some of your videos and then you start talking about the children, I'm like, I feel that, and there's like this feeling that just comes over me. But yeah, when a child is hurting or a child is crying, there's something that I have like this reaction. But that's quite interesting. There was one more thing that you said. Oh yeah. Y'all remember this quote that our good brother just said during this live? We don't see reality, we project reality.
Right.
I was like, dang, that's some real stuff right there. Oh, that's good. I gotta, yes. And this is something that we have to remember, and our brain is a big part of that. The reason why we are able to do that. Are there any more questions before?
Can I want to tap right on that, what you just said. I'm glad you said.
Yes.
The reason why we wake up every day and we feel depressed or we feel some type of way is because we're allowing someone to project reality to us.
Yes.
That's why we're doing that. That's the only reason why. So for example, let me give an example. If you wake up every day or you go to sleep at night, you hear gunshots in your neighborhood, you hear sirens in your neighborhood, not knowing that this is all orchestrated, by the way. They have to keep you in poverty and then put on movies to make you believe the only way you can get out of poverty is through violence, selling drugs, or whatever the case is. So now, mind you, you wake up every day and you hear the sirens, you hear the gunshots, you hear that. Not only that, you hear the news, or you hear your neighbors, or you hear other older people. Oh, it's always so much killing. Black people, this, that, and the third. We're doing so much. That's because now they have successfully indoctrinated you to project their reality. You see, once you understand the truth, see, they can't show me 500 homicides happening in 1 year in Philadelphia, and I say, damn, our people are crazy. They out of pocket. We're crazy. I can't say that. They can't show me that, because you know why? Because once you elevate to the truth, you say, well, wait a minute. That's 500 homicides in one whole year, and believe me, I wouldn't want nothing bad to happen to those souls. I'm sorry that they actually had to experience an early tragedy. However, what I will say is this: is once you come to reality, they killed over 274,000 women and children per day. So from Sunday to Sunday, they killed 1.9 million in 1 week. So therefore, they can never show me anything on television that would display my people in a animalistic way, when we haven't even addressed their animalistic ways towards us. So they can never do that to me. So just like when I walk outside and you see abandoned building, you have to train your eyes to what you want to see. Is that an abandoned building, or that's a bunch of atom molecules that are breaking down, and Earth is going to feed back to Earth, and then hopefully a tree going to grow from that. Hopefully the ants and the animals that are in nature actually have a home now, as opposed to this building being here for nothing that is actually taken away from them. So it's about what you are training your eyes to see on a day-to-day basis.
That's real. I just love that. I just love that. No, I really do, because people are experiencing different types of realities. You think there are those who are experiencing certain things, and it's like, I'm seeing so much stuff going on, like ever since 2020, when things went on. At first, I was afraid, because I was like, what is this? I was like, well, okay, well, what's going on? And what is this? And then I said, okay, I calmed down, and I was like, okay, let's just calm down and let's just figure things out. But some people stayed in fear. And do you know, because of that, it's like my reality, I couldn't believe my reality was drastically different. I'm hearing about people just experiencing just some crazy mess, and I'm just sitting back and we're floating. I don't want to say floating, but a lot of people just had really difficult times. And I think it's because of the fact that we don't see reality, we project reality, and how we perceive things and how we respond to what's going on is so important. And if you understand, like Brother Kala said, that they have to use us to create the reality they want. Because if enough people agree that it's effed up out here, or it's, it's messed up. Let me just say it that way. It's messed up. I'm trying to keep it clean, but if, it's really bad out there, and it's going to happen to us. And there are things that we cannot, there are forces beyond our control. We do know things are happening on the planet. However, at the same time, we can be wise, we can be aware, but we don't have to be in fear either. That's the thing. I think that's the main thing. You don't want to be in fear, so you can be calm enough to make really sound decisions for yourself and your family.
That is correct.
So that's really the thing that I just want to make sure want to say. And then let me just show our sister's comment here. Dove for Life, which is a nice screen name. Dove for Life, always changing. I know that's right. And things are always changing. And we have to be able to accept that and deal with the change, because changes are just going to keep coming. Nothing ever stays the same. And isn't that universal law? Everything is always moving. So therefore, or vibrating.
That's right.
So nothing's fixed. So, and that's another thing that we're going to be talking about at Sunschool. Okay. The children need to know universal laws. We'll get to the man-made laws later. Okay. But they need to know that first, because that governs all of us. There's no getting around that. It's just that now that's fixed. Okay. That's fixed for the universe until, we hear from a higher authority that's changed. Like, news update. These have changed. And as far as I know, that ain't happened yet.
Once our children start thinking different, they start speaking different.
Yes.
Once they start speaking different, then they will be able to come in tune with universal law. They will be able to understand what universal law is. Whatever I put out, I'm going to get back in. So even if I don't harm somebody, but I look at somebody for no reason, I'm like, I don't give a damn. I hate this person.
Yes.
And you start talking about that person. You start universal law. That's a reflection of you. That's coming back to you. That's not what we should be doing. And once we start practicing that on a day-to-day basis, we will start to see how much power you truly have. The way we choose to live is the way we choose to die. No one else makes that choice for you.
And if you spot it, you've got it.
That's right.
That mess you don't like, it's like, oh, dang. So if you can see it, so clearly. Just do a gut check, like, let me see, do I do that too? So these are all things that I've learned on my journey, and just accept feedback without getting mad, because life is like a mirror. It'll just reflect back what's going on to you in your reality. So don't get mad if somebody says, you always do this, just why do you always So try not to get triggered. And this is part of it. Just work on your triggers. Why am I getting triggered? Why am I disgusted about this?
That's it.
This is all the stuff I've learned on my journey. Y'all, I started a long time ago. So I'm so glad I did. And I did a lot of messy stuff, y'all. Look, trust me, I'm not perfect, but I'm at a place where I know that I'm always learning, and I know I don't know everything. And I can admit that, but I'm living in my purpose.
That's it.
So I'm focused, and I feel strengthened by that. Okay. I'm not above reproach. Just say it to me respectfully as best you can. Look, you know what's this and you know what's that. And it's like, okay, but sometimes feedback's not always easy to hear, but it's okay. We can all do it. And I really had such a good time with you today.
Thank you.
Like, I feel like a heart connection, because I just feel like we're going to create something really, really good, a safe place for children. And remember, these videos that we create, you can play them as needed. You don't have to overload your child with screen time, but you will have this information. And I'm so grateful that we can do this. We're free to do this. And whoever's watching right now, just notice what we're doing in the moment. We're actually creating something in the moment. We're creating something, and you're a part of that. And like, I'm excited. I don't know, Brother Kala, what you think? You excited? We're going to be helping these children out here.
Absolutely. That's because I know that they are ready. We are in an age of information right now. We are getting electrical impulses coming from our sun that we haven't received in the last, I'm gonna say, maybe 400,000 years. I'm willing to go with that right there. This is the type of energetic frequency that is coming. We are in the age of knowledge, whereas that right now everyone should want to know who they are. They should want to know who they are, and how you learn who you are is knowing how this works right here. You must understand how this works. You must understand why the bottom of your hands and feet and the white part of your eyes, sclera, is white. You must understand why they call it foot locker, why they have rubber soles on the bottom of your feet. You must understand why it's so important for them to keep you from developing a full and natural and healthy neocortex, a brain. You must understand that. They are literally, everything on this planet is to attack your dicephalon, which is another word for brain. Everything is designed to attack that. And once you come to the understanding, like, hey, you're not attacking me physically, you're attacking me psychologically, and get me to attack myself physically and break myself down physically. So therefore, I'm always going to have a depression deep within myself. No one is causing my depression. This depression is happening deep within myself, because half of me know that I'm living wrong, and the other half of me trying to figure out why am I living wrong. So the point is that once you focus and you start to study, and again, like I said, I have these books, but I don't be 15 hours a day, but I do sit into these books and I do read them. There is another thing that I could recommend people to get. I would tell you that you can get these posters right here.
Yes.
You can get these anatomy posters right here. And I will tell you that these anatomy posters, because they're full of color, these are full. You can get a whole pack of these off of Amazon for about, I don't know, I paid about $25, maybe $30 for them. But the price doesn't mean anything when it comes down to self-preservation, and not the price doesn't mean anything. And just to learn your lymphatic system, to learn your endocrine gland system, for you to learn that right there. There are certain things that you will be able to sit down, pull out a pen and a piece of paper, research a little bit of it, take your time going through it, and then actually spread that information to your child, the first thing a child will ask, like, why is it so important for me to learn this? Because it was so important for you not to learn it. They don't want you to learn it. And because the reason why they don't want you to learn it, because you can do extraordinary things. Once you say that to your child, then all of a sudden, wow, you seen Black Adam? You know why Black Adam shot electricity out of his hand? Huh? Do you know why Black Adam? See, when you talk to your child like that, what kind of power did Black Adam had? He had electricity. You know why? Because one of your cells. Now you have over 78 trillion of them. One of your cells contain the same amount of energy as one electrical bolt. One cell. So if you're that powerful, you have one cell that contains that powerful, that type of energy. Now imagine all 78 plus trillion cells, how powerful you truly are. So Black Adam is an atom of the sun. Superman got his powers from what? The
sun.
Simple as that. So when we start to bring all of that together, that's what makes it even more powerful.
Okay, I think I heard a knock somewhere.
Yeah, hold on for 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. Okay, look. Does anybody have any more questions before we wrap up with Brother Kala? I don't know about y'all, but I know a few of y'all were giving some feedback, but I had such a tremendous time. I learned a lot, like the terms, the circle of Willis, ischemia, that's a big one. For those that are just getting in now, and how the limbic system is
memory.
Yes, but it's also affected by any traumas, or it can affect the way your child acts. It can keep them in their lower part of their brain. So if like, let's just say if you're watching like a lot of slave movies, somebody getting whipped across their back, people being traumatized. Well, look, this is what happened in slavery. You have to know that. You don't want to do that. There's certain things you have to be very careful what you put in front of your child. Yes. And again, it's because of how it can affect their developing brain. And these people know this. And so when they're putting things like this in the school system, let me share this with y'all. When I was like around that same age, that really young age, I was in like 3rd grade, and they were showing us slavery movies.
Yes.
In the school. So 3rd grade. So that's like what? 8 years old, 8, 9 years old. I went to a majority non-Black school, non-Black. Okay. And they started showing us these movies. We saw the women that were half naked. Okay. Which is like, the men were half naked too. And again, on a child's developing brain, if there's no context, you don't know. So they make it seem like it's a bad thing, even though we should not be ashamed of our physical forms. Mm-hmm. And these people were in their, you're born naked. So they were in their natural state. And there was nothing wrong with that. But the way it's being shown, how do you translate that as a young person, as a child? And so again, this is the stuff they teach us, like all we were was just some slaves. We were getting beat across our back, and that's it. That's it. And this is why I get upset. And so there's a way to talk about it, but you already know this is not the extent of our existence in this earthly realm. We weren't just that. We weren't sitting up just getting hurt and tortured. And it's like, just to focus on that small little segment of history, I have a problem with that. So this is why, again, if you homeschool, then you can control that. When you put them in a public school, it's beyond your control. They're just going to absorb it. They're going to take it on. And there's no power in that. They don't realize how much power they actually have. Yes. And this is why you see what you see, because remember, we create our own reality. So we got to get these children, we have to lead by example. And then, they really can't, they can visualize, they can help us move this thing faster and help us start visualizing a beautiful world, because children are so imaginative. All they see is beauty. All they see is possibility. All they see is ease. Well, that's easy, right? Oh, that's easy. We could just do this. They just come with solutions.
Right.
Real easy. Let's just do this. Well, why don't we just do this? It's not a problem. And we can learn so much from children. And we don't want to stifle that growth by putting them into a public school system. So that's yeah, that's my son right there. That's my son.
Peace, abundance.
Greetings, son. Thank you for joining us. But this is why, like I said, we don't need to be sending our children to these institutions, because these institutions, they weren't created by us. We used to have our own schools. We used to now. My husband told me a story that what his father told him back in Alabama, just as recently as the 80s, the 1980s, it was mostly Black owned. You could go to a store, a Black grocery store, this and that. Alabama in the 80s. Now you don't see that. So these are kinds of stories we need to tell our youth. Things are changing, but they can always be changed again. Right. You know, and we can always learn from the past and what has happened and how our people were basically programmed into thinking, oh, this is better. Oh, let's look over here. The grass is greener. This is going on over here. Right. And it was a trick. And so we just need to bring our children back home. Y'all, yes. We need to bring our children back home, wake them up, continue on your own healing journey, please. Please. That's the most powerful thing you can do right now, is to work on yourself and take your power back. You don't have to do what these people say. I didn't elect these people. I didn't elect none of these people. I didn't put them in a position or a power. You don't have to listen to their supposed authority. You don't have to. You just say, okay, let me live my life and make my decisions. And there's power in that. That's what you do.
That's it.
That's what you do. You are the living man and living woman. Well, I don't want to do that. That's all it takes. Well, no, I'm not going to do that. And just stand behind it.
That's right.
That's what you do. Okay.
You
so
see,
I get I get excited because it's like, come on. That's what you do.
See, I want to say, just to add on this before we get off here, I want to tell people, like, the one thing that they stripped away from us during slavery with all the abuse was individuality. They took that away from us and made us believe that we needed a leader. So when Martin Luther King, much respect to him and value to him for what he did according to in his time, when he was elected by the other races of people to be the spokesperson for the entire Black race in America, that's where our brothers and sisters had this, more importantly, brothers. See, this is when they knew they had us. Well, more importantly, brothers, to say, listen to me. Regardless of what this man is saying about segregation and desegregation, this is what I'm doing with my family. This is what this neighborhood is doing. This is what this brother's doing. This is what, and we not doing none of that. See, they took the power away from the many psychologically and put it in the one. And that's where we begin to fall. And then I want to leave it with this right here. The new movie Avatar. I haven't seen it, nor do I have I don't have the cover. I don't have the soul to go see it. And I know why now, because I heard a few things about it. And one of the things that I heard about the movie, the Avatar, is that they use in this one, a lot of white characters or white people to play those characters. Now, I want y'all to understand something. The first Avatar the cast was majority so-called Black.
I remember that.
Now, in Avatar, they gave you the lie and the truth together. They gave you our uprise and our downfall together. Jake in the first Avatar wanted to do what? He didn't no longer, regardless if Jake could walk in his regular suit, Jake still wouldn't want to be Jake in his regular suit. Jake wanted to come over to the Avatar because they had more of a spiritual connection. They had more of an alignment with the entire universe, as opposed to Jake being just a military expert. Well, wow, Jake being a military expert. So in the first Avatar, we fell victim to love, to the fact that we actually, this is how they prove to you that we don't die, that we actually transfer his soul from his organic body into another body. This is exactly what they showed you in Avatar to let you know that you don't die. They also showed in the first Avatar that it was about genetics, because when the mother came down, she actually tapped Jake and tasted his blood and asked him, "What is you?" But that was not us. We don't taste blood, but she did it.
Right.
But again, they give you the truth and the lie together. She did it, and then and asked Jake, "What are you?" This Avatar, man, when that Avatar came out, it got a lot of pushback from other people, group of people, because the other races of people felt some type of way. They were depressed because they said you didn't do nothing but paint white people into as violent and criminal because of what they did during the movie. But they did. That's their historic fact. So they got a lot of pushback. So this Avatar, he included a lot of them in this, as well as showing how they do have a connection to nature. When these people have zero connection to nature, the only thing they have a connection to is that dog. That's it. And that's just being realistic to you. That's being, you can look around the planet. They actually have laws that they are passing in certain states that they can marry their dog and put the dog on life medical coverage and medical insurance. So this is something that they are doing. It's not talking hatred about them. This is just being realistic. So this is why I haven't watched the new Avatar, but Avatar tells you so much truth in the movie, but you have to be able to decipher what is truth from fiction, what is reality from what they're trying to show you. So the fact that we fail, the fact that this woman, so-called black woman, fell in love with something that's not even natural to her genetics. This is what we must understand. She fell in love with something that's not even natural to her genetics. And she had to go through so many changes just to get him from who he was to who she wanted him to be. So we must understand how much truth is really in these movies. And when we watch and we see these movies for its real truth, we're the ones that should be hurt. Not none of those people. We're the ones that should be hurt, because they're literally telling you how we fell and where we came from, where we were at and how we fell. So thank you. I really appreciate this. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I'm going to be following up with you as far as the whole preschool thing. I know you have to go. Adore. As far as your question, it's programming. That's why you learn the same thing. Okay, they're teaching it, and it's a Black history, which means it's something they created, because we all know we're not Black. Bingo. Okay, so that's the short and succinct answer, because our guest has to go. But I do appreciate you showing up, even though we were late. I'm so glad that you had got all those kinks worked out.
Thank you.
Yes, and thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. I appreciate you, and we will see you next time on Bringing It Home with C.N. Smith. Take care.
Abundance. Thank you.